Tonight, former National Signals Bureau boss Kwabena Edubuahin charged with 11 counts, including stealing, defrauding by false pretense, and causing financial loss to the state in a $7 million contract scandal. We're live at the courts where Mr. Edubuahin and his wife have been pleading not guilty. We're also live tonight at the Information Services Department, where the Attorney General is set to address a news conference. Top story, as always, is brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. My name is Faustina Safo. Please stay for details. Tonight, it is the first major corruption trial of the John Mahama administration, and the Attorney General has decided to go with a bang. In the last couple of hours, the former National Signals Bureau boss, Kwabena Edubuahin, has been charged with 11 counts, including stealing, defrauding by false pretense, and causing financial loss in a $7 million contract scandal. Now, we will be going live to the court shortly, but first, the Attorney General is now set to also address a major news conference in the next few minutes. My colleague Kwekwa Asante is there for us. He joins me live with more. Kwekwa, I want us to start with details of these charges against the former National Bureau's boss. What exactly is in it?
Well, Christina, we are standing by waiting for the Attorney General, who is currently in court, laying out these charges against Mr. Kwabena Edubuahin, Angela Ejeboatin, that is the wife of Kwabena Edubuahin, one Mildred Jonko, and then Advantage Solutions Limited. These are the four persons that the Attorney General has filed these charges against. Count one is stealing, contrary to the Criminal and Other Offences Act. The allegation is that Kwabena Edubuahin, on or about February 5, 2020 in Accra and within the jurisdiction of the court, did under the guise of procuring a cyber defense system for the Republic of Ghana, dishonestly appropriate the sum of about 27,100,000 Ghana cedis belonging to the Republic. There's a count two having to do with stealing, another allegation that he stole again about 21 million Ghana cedis belonging to the public. The count three is also stealing, contrary to Section 12 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act. If you look at count 5, it says defrauding by false pretenses, contrary to Section 13(1) of the Criminal and Other Offences Act. It says, Kwabena Edubuahin, that you on or about February and March 2020 in Accra did by false pretense that you were going to buy a cyber security system for the Republic of Ghana, and that you did call the government of Ghana to part with a sum of about 49.1 million Ghana cedis on that. Count 6 is willfully causing financial loss to the state. Count 7, using public office for profit, contrary to the Criminal Offences Act. Count 8, collaboration to commit crime with using public office for profit, contrary to the Criminal Offences Act. And this definitely relates to Angela Ejeboatin, the wife of Mr. Edubuahin. Count 9 is obtaining public property by false pretenses. And then count 10 is money laundering, contrary to Section 12, Section 123 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act. And then the final count, count 11, is conspiracy to commit money laundering, contrary to Section 3 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act. So these are the 11 counts that have just been filed in court by the Attorney General against Kwabena Edubuahin, Angela Ejeboatin, Mildred Jonko, and Advantage Solutions Limited. The background is pretty simple. The state of the case is that in 2020, the Signals Bureau boss then, Kwabena Edubuahin, decided that the state needed some software from an Israeli company. The allegation is that that was expected to ordinarily cost the state about 49 million Ghana cedis. And that Kwabena Dubois did form another company that had a name similar to the National Communications Bureau, and then transferred these amounts of money into that private account, and they sent just a fraction of that to the Israeli company for the software and kept the rest for himself and dissipated that amount of money against the allegations of the state on real estate properties in Accra and other such ventures. And so it's been coming, the Attorney General did address a news conference laying out these allegations against Kwabena Dubois. He promised that the charges will be filed somewhere before the middle of April. That hadn't come, and today is the last day of April. He has finally filed the charges. And the charges, as we know now, have all been read to Mr. Dubois, the wife, and the other accused persons in court, and they have pleaded not guilty to all these charges.
Thank you, Kweku, for joining us with that details. We've just been giving us background, and you're on the ground, really. And we know that there's another press conference coming up. The Attorney General is set to brief us. What exactly are we to expect? My colleague Kweku Asante just joining us live from the courts, giving us updates. If you just tuned in, news coming in is that Kwabena Dubois has been charged with 11 counts, including stealing, defrauding by false pretense, and causing financial loss to the tune of $7 million in a contract scandal. And my colleague Kweku Asante has just been giving us a breakdown of this 11 different counts, and he's actually going to give us updates because the Attorney General is set to address a news conference. Kweku, I just wanted to find out what exactly we should expect.
So, Christina, the times have been changing for this news conference. It was expected to happen yesterday, was postponed to midday today, and has been moved to 4 p.m. And past 5:30 now, as we know, the Attorney General has still not yet addressed the news conference, but we do know exactly why the news conference has delayed. It's because both the Attorney General and his deputy are at the High Court now pressing these charges against Mr. Dubois and the wife, and that process will have to end before the Attorney General will come here and explain what exactly he wants to talk to the public about. But among other things, you expect to get to know what the key issues are for government under their Operation Recover All Loot, because the indication we are getting from our government survey is that in the coming days, in the coming weeks, a lot of charges are going to be filed against former NPP government appointees, and he has just led the way with Mr. Dubois. He is going to explain to the country why exactly it took this long to file this charge, when he had said in that news conference a couple of weeks back that he filed these charges before the end of March or by the middle of April. And I did cover that news conference. So he will explain that. He'll also explain what exactly is to come for the other oral investigations, the Operation Recover Loot investigation. But also, we know the big topical issue currently, that is the suspension of the Chief Justice. If he does not address it, definitely he's going to face a barrage of questions from those of us who are here. He's going to explain from government perspective what they make of the claims that have been made by the Ghana Bar Association with respect to the suspension of the Chief Justice, Madam Gertrude Sokono, the demand for that suspension to be revoked, Madam Sokono be allowed to get back and perform her duties as Chief Justice. All those questions are going to go to the Attorney General. He's going to address them. But what our expectation is, and the understanding we are getting from our sources, is that this press conference is going to be big on oral Operation Recover All Loot, what exactly government is doing about it, what prosecutions are going to come in the next few days, and what is in the arsenal of government as regards to this. But for now, and the former Signal Group boss has been charged with about 11 counts, together with the wife. They pleaded not guilty to all of that. We understand the bail conditions and bail issues will be sorted out by the court, because the earlier bail that was granted by Yoko is now not in effect, because the matter has now formally been put before a court of competent jurisdiction. The bail issues will have to be sorted, and then the Attorney General will come here. I'm just hearing a police dispatch rider driving towards here. It will be to have the Attorney General coming in now, together with his deputy, to address the news conference that will be expecting since 4 p.m.
Just reading the room, really, we're certain that this press conference will be coming up, and we just wanted to find out from you, Kweku, what's the presence like? Who are the individuals in that room as we await the Attorney General?
checked the government communications Minister Felix Kwasi Ezekwesili here, and my understanding is that he may already be in the building. I haven't seen him, but I've seen a couple of his staff around from the Department of Government Communications at the Jubilee House, a number of them already around. But this is mainly the business of the Attorney General Department. And so you said the Attorney General himself, Dr. Lemikaine, his deputy, Dr. Justice inside, and other constituents and staffers of the Attorney General and Ministry for Justice. They are going to be here to lay out these prosecutions. And because of how key some of these prosecutions are going to be, perhaps we're going to get much more major government backing for some of these issues that are going to come. Because we are going to say that we are losing patience with some of these things that are happening. But our understanding is that the Attorney General has just come and the news conference is just starting. I'm just going to go into the building and we're going to give our audience, both on TV and on radio, the proceedings. So this part that are ahead was indeed the Attorney General, who has now walked into the IND building. He's about to start addressing the press on what exactly steps they are taking with respect to oral and number of investigations that are happening. So the AG is taking the podium just about now.
Now, just before the AG takes the podium, Kweku, let me just find out from you. Mr. Dubois, he has been charged together with his wife. Have they met the bail conditions so far?
Well, the initial charges that were filed we are yet to get to confirm specifically what the bail conditions will be in court today, and that is why it's being processed, and that is why the Deputy Attorney General from coming here, so that will be dealt with pretty shortly. But Yoko did grant Madam, the wife of Mr. Dubois, 80 million Ghana cedi bail, not to be justified. That was pretty easy for her to meet because the properties and other things that she has to show, they don't have to be justified. They're going to be able to just have to show proof that there are properties and other things worth 80 million Ghana cedi for that. But the husband had to show justification for some of the bill document that they were issuing. And so those ones have to be dealt with. And that is why Mr. Dubois himself stayed in custody for a much longer period than the wife. But ultimately, they did meet those bail conditions. But that were the bail conditions of Yoko, the Economic and Organized Crime Office. Once that was met, they were released. But four these charges have now been filed, and the matters have been before court. New bail conditions will be imposed. We'll get to know certainly what the new bail conditions are in this matter and whether or not they are going to meet this very evening. Tomorrow being a holiday, we'll just process it or we'll keep them in custody. These are all issues that we'll get to know finally when the Attorney General mounts the podium. But the Senate Executive have just seen him walk up against the Information Ministry building. He's gone up there. They have to sort a few issues and then come down before this news conference will begin.
Kweku, stay with us because we know that the AG is about to address that news conference. If you just tuned in, this is Top Story, and we're letting you know that the former National Signals Bureau boss, Kwabena Dubois, he has been charged with 11 counts, including stealing, defrauding by false pretense, and also causing financial loss to the tune of $7 million in a contract scandal. Well, he's not alone. He's been charged together with his wife, and they have both pleaded not guilty. We're also live today at the Information Services Department, where the Attorney General is set to address a news conference and will be there live once it starts. Well, another major story we're following for you tonight is the revelation that Ghana is facing an imminent crisis as one of the country's major independent power producers has issued an immediate ultimatum to shut down their plant unless government pays them more than $1 million. Cap Power contributes more than 400 megawatts to the national grid, and a shutdown will inflict a major national power crisis. Well, let's listen to the Energy Minister, John Jinapor, speaking exclusively to Joy News for a yet to be aired interview on PM Express later tonight.
Pay 100 million immediately.
Immediately?
Immediately.
I mean, immediately as in today?
No.
And if you don't pay the $100 million?
They'll shut the plant. And if they shut the plant, there will be a deficit of 450 megawatts minimum. And that will be massive.
That will be significant load shedding.
As we speak, occasionally, when we have a challenge, like I say, sometimes you run a deficit of about 90 or 120, but immediately you bring a plan to cover. And even with that, you hear people complaining. So you can imagine if you lose 450.
Can you fix that? Can you avert that?
I'm meeting them with the finance minister on Friday. The first is to appeal to them that we're a new government. We need some time. Maybe finance minister may be able to come up with some money, even if we can't do the 100. But we also want to renegotiate their terms with them. They are the only company that has so far, let me not use the word refuse, that have so far not been able to agree on some renegotiated terms with government. All the IPPs have agreed. So I want to make a passionate appeal to Ohan that look, we brought you into this country, and I think that being in government, they should play ball with us. If they shut the plant, we'll have load shedding. But it means there will be no power to sell. It means they won't get the money at all. Because at least it's better to pay what we are paying now. And since we came, you can check from the industry players. I've insisted that we adhere to the cash waterfall mechanism. I've gone to cabinet. I've given directives. Creating a single treasury account. So all the monies ECG collect goes into one account.
Have you closed all their 80 plus accounts?
I've closed them. The banks are not happy. They've been complaining. They've gone reporting.
Every single one of them?
Almost every account that I know of.
That's a possibility. You're leaving the possibility that there are some you don't know.
I'm minister. I sit here as minister. I ask for information. ECG gives me the information and I give the directive. So to the best of my knowledge, every account that ought to be closed has been closed.
You are certain on Friday, after the appeal, you can come up with some arrangement that should give you some reprieve at least, until you can find 100 million for them.
I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that we'll find a solution. It's not easy. It's tough. This is what we've inherited. But we have to deal with it. And as a government, you inherit the assets, you inherit the liabilities, you inherit the positive, you inherit some of the negative.
Well, we also have confirmation tonight that ECG will be broken up for private sector participation in a concession arrangement. Government is now set to open a competitive bidding process for private companies who want to participate to submit their bids.
We've gone to Cabinet. Cabinet has chosen the option of concession. We are not selling ECG, and let me put this on record.
So that decision has now been made?
It's been made.
Concession.
We are not selling ECG. Far from that. And so ignore the misinformation, ignore the misconception. Cabinet has taken a definitive position that we require some level of private sector participation, but not to sell the company outright. So what are we talking about? And I try to put it simple. ECG will remain the holding company. So ECG has this room as ECG operational area. They divide into 4-3. Ruler company, you take one. Yours is to manage that sector or that geographical area. At the end of the month, we check how much power came to you. Just hypothetically, maybe 20 megawatts. And so we check the gigawatt hours that you consumed. And we say that this is a price. Pay us. You pay ECG. How you collect the money is your cup of tea.
So you have to pay ECG upfront?
No, you put a deposit or a guarantee.
Okay.
We're taking a transaction advisor. Competitive bidding, competitive process. So that we'll get a very good company. So simply put, what we are going to do is to buy ball power from ECG and sell.
So
your duty is to sell that power, one. Your duty is to collect that power in terms of the money and put it in a dedicated account. ECG takes its, whatever is left is yours. If you can't, don't apply.
Under this arrangement, you would have not one private player like PDS.
So multiple
you have multiple concessions, so multiple private players. But which aspects? Is it geographical management or is it functional?
It will be geographical.
Geographical.
Already they have what they call boundary metering at the regional level. So let's assume that you have 20 boundary meters. So we know the power that flows at the regional level. So hypothetically, 20 regions, divide them into 3 or 4. That means everybody has 5 regions. And I think that is a good approach. And I want to appeal to the Public Utility Workers Union.
The workers are opposed to this approach.
Yes, so I asked them, what do we do? Because we are heading for a ditch. I think the workers should be interested.
How removed will you be, when I say you, the government and the political players, be from this process?
Because we are putting in place a technical committee that has men of integrity. And I want ECG represented. Even if TUC want to be represented, I want them represented. We are taking a transaction advisor through a competitive process. And I have my credibility and integrity. So I think the workers, should be interested in how we're going through this process.
When do you want to implement this, the time frame?
Next week, we would have a first meeting with the committee. We're already going to issue the notice for a transaction advisor. The same for the concession. With some local content participation, which ought to be emphasized.
Because that's the next big question. Is it open to local companies with the capacity, or to everybody else, regardless of whether you are local or international?
So what I am envisaging, but I want to leave that to the committee, is that there should be local participation. If a local company has capacity, that's the best. But if a local company does not have the capacity, but they have a foreign company with the capacity, and they partner with the foreign company, so that there can be technological know-how, and also there can be some value addition and retention, albeit is good.
But what would that mean for the ordinary person? Because you are doing this ultimately for the customer. Now that you are handing this over to a private player, how does that affect myself?
So let me give you an example. You have 40% losses, is that not it? So it means that 60% is what you're actually collecting. Revenue is a function of quantity and price. So if one fixed price, if the quantity is low, you get low revenue. If the quantity is that big and the price is slightly higher, you may even get more revenue. So if you come up with an improved system where everybody is brought into the basket, just like taxation, then you can lower prices or lower the tax threshold and still achieve more revenue, because compliance then becomes higher.
What happens to ECG's workers?
The workers will still work, and some of them work with these companies.
Would they be mandated to work with ECG staff?
They will be mandated to work with some of the staff.
Can you guarantee that there will not be job losses at ECG?
There should not be job losses.
And the should is...
They should, and I would...
Should is not
exactly. As minister, I want to assure them that we'll do everything it takes to ensure that there are no job losses.
But that
must not lead to job losses.
But that means actually what you're saying is that you can't guarantee that there will be job
guarantee
losses.
that there will be no job losses.
So you guarantee there will be no job
losses. And I guarantee that there will be no job losses.
You heard there the Energy Minister, John Jinapor, speaking exclusively to my colleague Evan Spencer. And that full interview will be airing later today on PM Express on the Joy News channel at 9 p.m. But you had two key things being raised there by the Energy Minister. We now have confirmation that ECG will be broken up for private sector participation in a concession arrangement. Now, government will open a competitive bidding process for private companies who want to participate to submit their bids. Now, that will mean that ECG as a company will become a holding, whilst these individuals, the private companies, will now be in charge of managing the country when it comes to zones. Now, let me bring in Dr. Nii Darko Asante, former PURC board member. I also have with me Enoch Paul Hayes. He is Deputy General Secretary for Public Utility Workers Union. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. I'll start with you, Enoch, because PUWC, as a company, you have raised concerns about this. You're concerned about ECG and how they plan to privatize the sector. And this has been a concern for a while. I just wanted to find out from you, looking at the approach that is being proposed by John Jinapor, is it the right approach for you?
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Shirley. My greetings to all your listeners, especially to all ECG workers. So like you rightly said, you heard the minister saying from the beginning that he had issued even with the IPPs currently, and they had to do with some payment that should be done. And then he's even pleading with them to have some negotiation with them. And, just like trying to jump the challenges that need to be solved, and rather giving some easier solutions that would not even help us. With the kind of approach they are still going, is just what they were criticizing when they were in opposition about the PDS deal. And this is where we have problem as Ghanaians each and every time. When they stand somewhere, they see the whole thing differently. But when they get involved and they want to have certain benefit, they change the language. The fact is that if you want to put ECG into certain segment and then give it out to some private sectors to manage, and you are asking them to collect the revenue based on the megawatts power they have been given, the bulk power given, there is so many things ECG has already done as a company. For example, he's talking about the boundary metering. We have done all these things. We have put some infrastructures in place. This is the road to go. All that is needed is what we call strong leadership role with clear and very distinct measurable measurement and also KPIs to anyone that you want them to achieve this. What you are giving to the private man to do it, can't you give to the same person you have appointed to do that? And why do you want to believe that it should go to the private sector before these things can be done? And look at when you listen, realize that he was not so sure of the job security of the workers. And these are private people. You can't force them.
But the bigger problem really about ECG is about funds. Money is not coming in, simply put it that way. And that's why government wants to ensure that when it comes to the collection of funds, we have a private individual who's in charge of that.
So we said it over. What is the challenge in area of ECG not receiving revenue? We said it over and over. The challenges are very simple. Number one, the price of the energy we are taking from the IPPs is on the high side. It's very expensive. Ghanaians cannot afford it. They cannot pay. Number two, we are saying that we cannot just buy the thing in dollar and then sell it in cedis. It's not feasible. Nobody can do that. If we like, let's try it. Let's give some example of what we are talking about. This is what we keep saying. It's not feasible. They have to address the issues where it should be addressed. Not trying to sell it. Okay, we're giving an example where he's talking about how much money that is coming and we are not able to take. And he mentioned the losses 40%. It's not true. Let's stop giving the dog a bad name to hang it. All the things that are being said are very clear.
When you say it's not true, what exactly are you contesting?
We are contesting the losses they are just mentioning. They are skyrocketing. For example, you mentioned the powers that are not, the power that is not stable, and you ask him a question about it, and he's telling you where they have to meet the IPPs, negotiate with them, talk to them, and for them to have. That is what we are expecting certain things to be done. And you are talking about engagement. In this aspect, you met the committee. We came out with certain proposals, which we also believe as major stakeholders who have been here for all this while, that these are the challenges that need to be resolved. Nobody's listening to us. But it's just like we are bent on dividing ECG, the whole ECG sector, into 4 segments and give it to each. You hear what he said? I'm telling you today, let's everybody should just follow it up. And the whole Ghana should listen to us. That what they are doing is to go back and buy this state organization. Is ECG for themselves. Today, I am telling you, in the next future, you see them becoming the owners of this company. When they were in power, they cannot manage it. They are the same people say they cannot manage it.
But what is your fear really? Because the minister has assured that you will not lose your jobs.
Who will not lose his job? Okay, so the same way, Telecom. When Telecom was about to be sold, they told us that nobody will lose his job. Now go to Telecom. Check how many Ghanaians are working in Telecom. The same way when Ghana Airways was about to be sold, they told us nobody will lose his job. Go there, go and check how many Ghanaians are working there. And this is what they keep telling us, and you are in Ghana.
So you're fighting for your personal interest. This is not about the national interest.
You see, this is sometimes it is disheartening. You are Ghanaian. How many Ghanaians today working in electricity are not really working? It's just to tell us that somebody will use profit over. If a private person want to do something and he really want to come to the terms of making money, he wouldn't care. He would do everything he wants to just make money. And that is not what we are in for. Don't forget that you're a Ghanaian. Look at the number of people working. At the end of the day, what we are looking at is that how can we sustain these state-owned institutions? Don't forget that apart from we paying electricity bill, there is so much of the social part of electricity that every Ghanaian should enjoy. And that is what we keep telling them. They have a responsibility as government. You pay tax. I pay tax. Some of the money should be used to, in any way, in any form, the money should be to subsidize our energy. And they should do that. Stop looking for the easy way. They should go back, look at how best to solve it. If it is injecting capital and putting certain measurable and then KPIs for those who are in charge and those they have appointed to work and tax them.
Thank you so much, Enoch, for joining us. He's Deputy General Secretary for the Public Utilities Workers Union. And I'm handing over to Evan Spencer for Newsnight.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, President Mahama nominates 7 justices to the Supreme Court, sparking fresh controversy. Amidst process to remove Chief Justice, we hear from the opposition New Patriotic Party and also some lawyers who have all been reacting to this breaking in the last few minutes. Also tonight, opposition MPP defy growing internal calls to suspend its controversial thank you tour, which has been dogged by acrimony and violence as it distances itself from the stabbing incident which triggered the withdrawal of Kennedy Japan from the tour.
Let me make this clear. The party will resist any attempt to connect the unfortunate incident that happened, the stabbing, the young man. Will resist any attempt to connect, to make that nexus to the ongoing NU tour.
In business, World Bank approves $125 million to help Ghana tackle climate-related agricultural losses.
And in sports, we continue our coverage of the UEFA Champions League semi-final tonight from the HR residence in Dansuman as Barcelona hosts the Inter Milan at the Olympic Stadium in the first leg.
Thank you very much. We want to stay with us because we're going to bring you the very latest from the world of business and sports, plus your views and comments all here on Newsnight. 055-11-11997 is the line you want to join us on. And that breaking story coming from the presidency, we can now confirm to you that President John Dramani Mahama has nominated 7 justices to the Supreme Court, which is already sparking a fair measure of controversy, especially coming in the midst of the processes that have already been triggered for the removal of the Chief Justice, and a copy of this particular memo that has now been written to the Judicial Council that I have in my hand says that, quote, pursuant to Article 1442 of the Constitution of Ghana 1992, His Excellency, the President, has nominated the following justices of the Court of Appeal to be considered for appointment to the Supreme Court. And there are 7 of them. First is Justice Sir Dennis Dominic Ajay, Justice Simon Subare, Justice Senyor Jamefe, Justice Kweku Teria Akabuafo, Justice Philip Bright Mensah, Justice Janapari Bartels Kojo, and Justice Hafizata Amayaboba. 7 justices of the Superior Court who have today been nominated for consideration by the Council. And the second part of this letter says attached are their CVs. I trust that this Council will expedite action on their considerations. It says, please accept the assurances of my highest consideration. It's signed by Callistus Mahama, the Secretary to the President, and the also copied to the Acting Chief Justice, Judicial Council, Accra. Also attention, His Lordship. Justice Paul Baffo Boni. Of course, you know he is the acting CJ. Also copied to the Vice President and the Chief of Staff. And so if you're just joining us, this is the breaking news we're now learning and confirmed from the Office of the President. 7 justices have now been nominated to the Supreme. Of them, Justice Dennis Dominic J, Justice Simon Subare, Justice Senyor Jamefe, Justice Kwekuteria Akabuafo, Justice Philip Bright Mensa, Justice Bartels Kojo, and Justice Hafisata Amele Boba. And I want to quickly get some reactions to this developing story from Frank Davis. He's the chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Committee of the MPP. Joins me right now on the line. Martin Kwebu is also a lawyer. Both of them joining me as this story breaks. We're all learning about this literally in the last few minutes. Mr. Davis, reaction to this?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ivan. Good evening once again to your esteemed viewers and listeners. Or rather, Ivan, you introduced me as a senior member of the bar, so far as this matter is concerned. I mean, chairman of the Constitutional Legal Committee of the party, everybody knows, but I'm speaking as a senior member of the bar now. So I think it will have been best to introduce me that time. But thank you. Well, Ivan, interesting times ahead for the judiciary. I mean, of course, nobody can take away the rights of the president to nominate justices to the bench of the Supreme Court. So, the constitutional prerogative is that of the president. The names that you have mentioned, from Sir Dennis to Afisata Amaliboba, I have had the privilege of practicing before all of them as justices of the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and now that they are being elevated to the Supreme Court. I mean, it is the expectation of every justice of the Superior Court of Judicature to be in the highest court of the land. So I can only congratulate them at this stage. And it's the expectation of reward that sweetens labor. But well, I don't know.
What do you make of the timing? What do you make of the time of this?
Yeah, that's where I was coming to. You know, I'm at pains to say this. But the comments of His Excellency the President at the forum where he addressed a group of lawyers who have categorized themselves as NDC lawyers. He made certain remarks, and that some lawyers should, in their midst, should, as it were, aspire to be on the bench so that there will be a balancing equation of the number of justices that His Excellency the President and Akufo-Addo had appointed onto the bench of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal and the High Court. So if on the back of that, the President should at this stage nominate 7 names for consideration by the Judicial Council to the Supreme Court. The optics for me is for Ghanaians to judge. Hey, I cannot. So far as the President has the constitutional prerogative to do that, it is in Mrs. Rabbit so to do. But how many justices do we have in the Supreme Court now? About, if I'm not mistaken, about 11, 12. So if you add 7, we are going to have about 19 justices. That is quite a number. That is quite a number. But, hey, Evans, I'm not the president. I'm a trained lawyer and a citizen, but I leave the better judgment to Ghanaians, because if the idea is to balance the equation, to put as many justices in the Supreme Court or other courts just because President Akufo-Addo has done. When there are vacancies on the Supreme Court bench, yes, the president has the constitutional prerogative and rights to nominate and elevate justices not only from the Court of Appeal, but from the High Court, depending on your industry and scholarship. You can be elevated to the Supreme Court. But the timing is a bit challenging. That's all I can say for now.
Thank you very much. That there is Frank Davis, chair of the Constitutional Legal Committee of the NPP. I still have with me Martin. But with Martin, I'm curious to learn what your reaction is to it. First of all, when you first heard that the president already, less than 120 days into his administration, has nominated 7 justices to the Supreme Court, what was your initial reaction, Martin? Hello, Martin Kpebu. Okay, we may have lost him, but we'll bring him back for his reaction. And as you may know by now, a major developing story breaking in the last few minutes. President John Dramani Mahama has nominated 7 justices to the Supreme Court. And he also is asking the Judicial Council to expedite their consideration as a matter of urgency. The 7, if you're just joining us, are Justice Dennis Dominic J, Justice Simon Subare, Justice Senyo Jamefe, Justice Steria Akabuafo, Justice Bright Mensa, Justice Battels Kweju, Justice Hafizata Amaleboba. These are the 7 justices of the Court of Appeal who have now been elevated to the Supreme Court. This is a nomination, so the Judicial Council will have to consider the nomination that has been done by the President, and then it will go to the rest of the processes. We'll examine the constitutionality of this action pretty shortly, and thankfully, Martin Kpebu is with me. Martin, what was your initial reaction when you first learned of this?
Yeah, so I kind of was a bit surprised. Yeah, surprised because, we had been making arguments a few months ago that before the numbers are increased, we should have a national conversation. So I'm like, hey, now, can we stick by previous words or we are going to change, So that's a very serious matter because, when Chief Justice Tokondo presented that list of 5 justices to the President for appointment to the Supreme Court, we came out and made a lot of noise. Amongst some of the arguments were the fact that before the number is increased beyond the conventional 15, there should be a national conversation. So I know that list that had 5 was going to shoot the number beyond 15. That's 14 justices plus the Chief Justice, making it 15. So that list of 5 was going to take it beyond the 15. And the importance of the 15 is that during President Kufuor's time, under the African peer review mechanism, we were lashed for going beyond the conventional 14, 15, 10. So meaning that, and even in the GBA case versus Attorney General, etc. Yes, there were references to it. So right now, with the list being 7, and also some people appearing to be far junior than some justices who have been on the Court of Appeal for longer, etc., I can see that the debate is going to be very robust, very, very robust. But it's good. It shows that citizens are getting more involved. Because when you look on the list, the people that we all had been hard done by are 3. Number 1 is Justice Senyo Jamefe. Number 2, Justice Denis Ejie. And then number 3, I think Justice Sore Barre. Yes. But beyond that, there are other people. There's going to be a lot of arguments. The same arguments we're making, because people were making arguments that they are taking people who are far junior to us to the Supreme Court. So, and especially I know Senyo Jamefe and Denis Ejie and Co, their case, it was so palpably wrong. We felt that no. Why you? I mean, if you thought they are not competent, which is not the argument, then at least bring out facts that will show so. So all the arguments we made a few months ago, the chicken have come home to roost. So we just have to repeat the same arguments. We can't say to want to, change the hymn sheet. If we change, we'll be caught in a web of hypocrisy. So for now, I can't change my hymn sheet.
So repeat your position again for me then.
So we had said that, look, if you're going beyond 15, then there should be a national conversation. And this one dates way back to Adam Smith. Yeah, you see quotations from Adam Smith saying that in the matter, the economics, talking also about judicial matters. You see a paper that H.P.T. prepared, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Commission, where Adam Smith said that, look, when it comes to appointing justices, citizens should be involved in the conversation. So we feel left out. We've not been involved in this conversation, especially as it appears this number will shoot it way beyond the 15 justices. So the convention is that we have 14 Supreme Court justices plus the Chief Justice, 15, right? Some even dispute it. Some say it's just 14, plus with the Chief Justice included. Others say it's 14 justices plus the Chief Justice, making it 15. So whichever way, if you add the 7, we are going way beyond 14 or 15.
So do I hear you say you are opposed to this action, this nomination, because it's fundamentally going to leave the bench with more than 15 justices?
Yes, to the extent that we've not had a national conversation. That is what we asked for the last time. We said, let's have a national conversation. If you are going to break a convention, let's sit around the table and then debate it robustly, right? Yes, issues of public interest should be robustly debated, right? Robust arguments, back and forth. You see, Kweku Asare also did a long paper. Please dig them up. Let's read. You see all the arguments he presented. So basically, Evans, we are caught by our words and our arguments a few months ago. It's not, we cannot lightly shift our arguments. No, nothing is changed to warrant a shifting of the argument.
Give me your
Let
quick
the
thoughts.
public weigh in.
Give me your quick thoughts on what has happened tonight with the nomination. Is that due process?
You see, if you talk about formal due process, yes, but I'm making the strong argument that because the number is going beyond the conventional 14 or 15, we had asked for a national conversation. That
My question is an attempt to move from there. I think you make that point very clearly. I'm just curious to know, the president appears to be initiating the process and nominating and asking the Judicial Council to consider. Is that what the process dictates? Is that what the Constitution dictates?
Oh, yes. So, there's a case called this GBA, versus Attorney General. The last one, that was when they were about appointing Professor Mensah Bonsu, right? Yes. And then the GBA went to court, blah, blah. Mafusau, no, that has a Mafu, not Mensah Bonsu. I think it was a Mafusau this round. That's the one that brought Fuaman in. And then Mafusau was one of the persons that the bar felt should have been included, but he was not included. So the GBA went to court. And then the Supreme Court said, so you are interested in, is that due process? Yes. The Supreme Court said yes. Due process. The president can nominate, the bar can also nominate, right? Yes. So there's that thing. Then the Judicial Council. So it goes to the Judicial Council. Then the Judicial Council looks at them and then advises the president. So the good thing now is that it says that the president cannot go outside the list that the Judicial Council will present.
So what it means is that although the president has sent 7, the Judicial Council can come back and say we believe only 5 really merit an appointment to the Supreme Court, and the president has no choice than to stay within that limit.
Yes. And within that 5, that one he has a liberty to maybe choose number 5 and number 4 and leave out number 1, 2, 3 if he wishes. Is that one that presents an interesting scenario? Maybe in future they will look at how to further tighten.
Martin, thank you very much. And that is Martin Kpebude giving us his thoughts on the breaking news coming in the last 30 minutes. Also, where the nomination of 7 justices to the Supreme Court. As I speak right now, there is another developing story around the former National Signal Bureau boss, Kwabena Dubois, who has tonight also been charged with 11 counts, including stealing, defrauding by false pretense, and causing financial loss in that $7 million contract scandal. The Attorney General just left court a short while ago. He's addressing a news conference right now. I want to take you live there.
One Mildred Donko, a former employee of UMB Bank, who resigned just in time to join in the criminal enterprise, and a company called Advantage Solutions Limited, a holding company owned by Mr. Dubois and his wife, which received a substantial portion of the funds and was used as a conduit for funneling the funds into other companies owned by them. These other companies are Vertex Properties Limited, Vertex Solutions, and of course the famous BMC Communications Bureau Limited, which was, if you remember, that was a vehicle that was used to steal the 49,100,000 Ghana cedis from the national security accounts. Based on the evidence on the docket, we have charged Mr. Dubois with stealing, 3 counts of stealing, 1 count of defrauding by false pretenses, another count of willfully causing financial loss to the state, another count of using public office for profit and money laundering. His wife, Angela Ajay Boateng, has been charged with conspiracy to steal, collaboration to commit the crime of using public office for private benefit or profit, conspiracy to commit money laundering and money laundering. In the case of Mildred Donko, we have charged her with 2 counts of conspiracy to commit money laundering and money laundering. The same goes for the company known as Advantage Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, my fellow countrymen and women, I am keenly aware of the criticisms that were leveled against me after my March 2025 press conference. In particular, some of our compatriots accused me of judging Mr. Dubois and his dear wife prior to filing charges, and others opined that what I said of them should have been left to the courts to decide. I respectfully disagree for a number of reasons. The first is that I said nothing at that press conference that suggested even remotely that their guilt had been predetermined. Far from that. As the Attorney General of this Republic, I am the first to acknowledge that no matter how watertight the evidence of a prosecutor is, the accused is still entitled to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. That is a principle enshrined in Article 19 of our Constitution. And I cannot go against that cardinal principle. The second reason why I disagree with those of my fellow countrymen and women who think that the matters are dealt with at these press conferences should be left to the courts is that the constitutions require that we act, at least in public office, with probity and accountability. I see these press briefings, including the one I'm having today, as a way of breathing life into those cardinal values of our Constitution. Lastly, I think that there is absolutely nothing wrong with a prosecutor exhibiting confidence in his case. With particular reference to the case under review, the diligent investigations by the Economic and Organized Crimes Office led by Mr. Raymond Archer gives me a high level of hope and confidence that, all things being equal, I will obtain convictions on most, if not all, of the charges that I have preferred today. Besides the documentary evidence involving bank statements, deposit slips, check numbers, and so on and so forth, we have persons with deep knowledge of the matter who have agreed to testify at the trial. Persons with very deep knowledge, primary persons who were close to the action, have agreed after having been, interrogated, about what they know. They have agreed to testify in this matter. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, between March 2025, when I announced the arrest and detention of Mr. Edugwahi and his accomplices, and now, there has been some speculation as to whether my press conference was yet another piece of political propaganda. Some media houses actually claimed that I had been deceived into holding the press conference and that I had in turn misled His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic. Let it be known that unlike some presidents in the past who were misled, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is on top of his brief and cannot be misled. Indeed, if any appointee would mislead the president, it would not be his Attorney General. So everything I have told the president, I have evidence to prove it, and the docket is replete with documentary evidence of the wrongdoing that has been investigated. Having said that, I wish to let it be known that the delay in filing charges came about because our diligent investigation team came across yet another scheme hatched by Mr. Edugwahi, this time involving Ghana Water Company Limited. This criminal enterprise involved the purported provision of secured internet services to Ghana Water Company Limited by the erstwhile Bureau of National Communications, now National Signals Bureau. The contract document showed that Ghana Water was to pay BNC, that is the national BNC, the sum of 650,000 Ghana cedis every 2 weeks for secured internet services from BNC, that is the Bureau of National Communications. However, for purposes of the payment, Kobina Edugwahi provided the account details of his company, BNC Communications Bureau Limited, to Ghana Water, which religiously paid for the internet services. In other words, every 2 weeks when 650,000 Ghana cedis of money from Ghana Water left the bank accounts of Ghana Water, instead of going to the National Signals Bureau account, it went to the account of a company known as Bureau of National Communications, owned by Kobina Edugwahi and his wife. Okay? And then they did what they wanted to do with the money. So for every month, Ghana Water paid 1.3 million Ghana cedis to Kobina Edugwahi and his company in exchange for internet services provided by the government. Because remember that the National Signals Bureau is a government agency. Now come to think of it, that the government agency is providing secure internet services to Ghana Water Limited, a limited liability company solely owned by the same government. And Ghana Water is spending money that they do not have, okay, to pay for internet services at that cost, 1.3 million Ghana cedis every month. In fact, the figure rose to 1.5 million Ghana cedis every month at the close of our investigations. Now, you remember that in 2020, Bureau of National Communications became National Signals Bureau. And so, because the contract documents stipulated that the payments be made to Bureau of National Communications, Ghana Water then demanded that the check payments be made to National Signals Bureau because of the change in the corporate identity of BNC. What then happened was that any time the check was made out to National Signals Bureau and it landed in the accounts of National Signals Bureau, Kobina Eduwahi, as Director of National Signals Bureau, would then immediately write a check to himself and transfer the money. From our investigations, you can see the movement of the money. Immediately it comes from Ghana Water, he signs a check and transfers the money into his personal company account. Now, today something happened in court. Counsel for the defense told the judge that whatever I had said was a figment of my own imagination. But of course, he is entitled to earn his fee. So he can say that. I have been briefed constantly and regularly. I've seen the evidence. And anybody who knows me knows that if I haven't seen the evidence, I won't be in front of you today. I've seen the evidence. The reason why some people have opted to testify is because they know that the case is watertight. So, counsel can continue to say what he's saying, but when we present the evidence in court, he will know that this is far from being imaginative. I have a very fertile imagination, but not in this case. So, ladies and gentlemen of the media, significant progress has also been made in other investigations being conducted in relation to the oral briefs presented to me in February. The investigation by the National Intelligence Bureau have been equally thorough under the direction of its Director General, Mr. Alhassan Kipo, and guided by the team in my office, most often led by the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Srem Sai. In respect of the SkyTrain matter, we have completed investigations and will be filing charges hopefully next week. We have established that $2 million United States of American dollars was paid by the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund without board approval. The only persons who knew and acted on the payment were the former CEO, Mr. Solomon Asamoah, and the former board chairman, Professor Ameyao Ekunfi. Both will be charged next week. The docket is ready. We know the charges we are filing against them, so they will be charged next week. Some of the board members have offered to testify as witnesses for the prosecution, and I am considering their offers. And usually what I do is that when you offer to testify, I sign an agreement with you, and I immunize you from prosecution either today or in the future. So that is what I'm doing with those who are making offers. So if you know, if you're a whistleblower, you know of any crime that has taken place, please come. Even if you are marginally involved, I'm prepared to cut a deal, and then we can deal with the actual criminals. Now, the investigation in the National Service Ghost Names scandal has also progressed well, and we will be filing charges against some of the persons involved from the first week of May, also, in a few days' time. Other matters such as National Cathedral, mathematical sets, senior high school Wi-Fi are also nearing completion, and dockets are being prepared for prosecutions to begin. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, as your Attorney General, I wish to assure you that I have sufficient reserves of integrity to continue to perform the task assigned me by His Excellency, the President of the Republic. I have never stolen before in my life and have never received a bribe in public office. All those who have dealt with me know know this for a fact, and the president would not have appointed me his attorney general if he had questions about my personal integrity. That is why it came to me as a big surprise when the honorable member for Gomoa Central, the Honorable Kwame Asare-Obeng, aka A+, took to social media to make spurious allegations against me, calling me corrupt and a thief. Besides the name calling, the Facebook post in its totality was a palpable falsehood. I was never involved in the passage of the sanitation levy, as I was not a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, let alone to be in a position to influence the composition of the membership of the committee. And I have the Hansard as documentary support for what I'm saying. I have the votes and proceedings of Parliament. Unfortunately, I left them in the office. I think I have them here. Yes. So for the media, the report of the committee as well as the vote and proceedings are here. If you want to do some research on the matter that he alleged that I was involved and I channeled, I made sure that the membership of the committee was, changed, and then the monies from the sanitation levy were channeled to my friend, and so on and so forth. I'm not friends with whoever was the beneficiary of the sanitation levy. But interestingly, A+ warned me in the post not to do anything silly and that he will come after me if I did. That is laughable. First of all, I do not act silly because I think through the consequences of my actions, not only for my person, but also for others. That is what we were taught in Notre Dame Minor Seminary, and I am proud to say, without fear of any contradiction, that I have kept faith with that principle. Secondly, the threat is laughable because I have nothing to hide. I am reliably informed that his basis of saying that I am corrupt and a thief is that I took campaign contribution from a businessman at East Legon known as Dr. Sledge, and that he also knows the people who donated pickups for my campaign. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if receiving donations for your campaign or getting a pickup for a campaign is thievery or corruption, then there are 276 thieves in Parliament, including the person who was making the allegation himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, if A+ has any evidence of corruption or thievery against me, I am challenging him today to call a press conference and present the evidence or present it to the police to investigate me. In contrast, the media should ask him about the silly thing that I was about to do, which frightened him so much, into making that silly post about me. He should be asked what he knows about the National Service ghost name scandal and related matters. If he can give truthful answers to these questions, then Ghanaians will know why he took to social media to do what he did. But let him be warned that in my hometown of Zorungu, we do not fear mud being thrown at us. On the contrary, we walk into the mud to deal with the person doing the mud slinging. And I am prepared to walk into the mud with A+. Because what I have about him and the National Service scandal, he should come and tell you. I'm challenging him. He should come and tell you, the media, and stop cowardly hiding behind social media to make baseless allegations against people who have worked hard to earn a reputation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I will end here. Thank you.
And you're still live, your News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. That is the Attorney General addressing a major news conference at the back of a significant day for him in the court. It is the first major corruption trial of the John Mahama administration, and he went to court today with a bang. We know now that the former National Signals Bureau boss, Kwabena Dubois, has now been charged with 11 counts, including stealing, defrauding by false pretense, and causing financial loss to the state. We just had details of that in this particular press conference, and a host of other cases he's now promising will all go to trial, some as soon as next week. I want to bring in my court correspondent, member of the legal desk. He just returning from the court. He was there for the drama, and there's a point that he made there at this particular press conference. By the way, I thought he was done, but he's back now with a few more comments. So let's listen in. I'll come back to you, Lateef. Stay with me.
The provision of secured internet services by a government agency. That is what happened. I thank you very much for your attention, and once again, sorry for the delay in addressing you. I think we can now take questions unless you are satisfied with everything I've said.
Okay, and we'll be taking questions there. We have our own Kweku Asante in the audience, and we'll be filing questions. We are now seeing that the government official spokesperson, Felix Kwakye Fosu, is now about to facilitate that next part of this particular press conference. But I want to come to you, Lateef. One major thing he said about what happened in court today. He references the comments made by Adu Boahing's lawyer, who had accused him of concocting, I guess, the evidence, and that everything else that he's been talking about since a month ago is a figment of his imagination, as the Attorney General's imagination. What really happened in court?
So, to address this particular question, emotions got high when the learned Attorney General started getting to the meat of the matter itself, when he told the judge that Adu Boahing is a flight risk because during the course of the investigations, surveillance that is available to the Attorney General's office shows that he attempted to interfere with a particular witness, which according to the Attorney General is the last witness they are trying to call in to testify in this particular matter. And this first accused person, that is Adu Boahing, attempted to interfere with that particular investigations by getting in touch with the witness or potential witness, if you like. He also made a point that there is a real danger of the first accused person leaving the country if he is granted bail, and that even though he was on bail, the surveillance, like I indicated, showed that he was trying to interfere with investigations. At that point, Atachia came in and said the point the Attorney General was making before the court has no foundation, and that he came to court, he rushed to court based on emotions and not with any particular fact that can support his claim that he has surveillance that shows that Adu Boahing tried to interfere with investigations by getting in touch with one particular potential witness that they look forward to call and bring in. At that point, the Attorney General didn't take it lightly. He stood up and made it clear to the judge that he took exception to that claim by Atachia. It was back and forth, but the judge succeeded in calling them to order, and then proceeding continued smoothly without any altercation.
And so that just giving us context around why the Attorney General obviously had taken issue with that particular comment made by Atachia. But take me to the courtroom. We know that Adu Boahing came there today, not only himself, but he came with a wife.
Yeah.
Their pleas were taken, correct?
Exactly.
Both of them pled
not guilty to all the 11 counts. I mean, Adu Boahing was the first, followed by the wife, and then there was a third person. This third person has been on police inquiry bail. If you recall, Adu Boahing and his wife are on a court bail. But the third accused person, or A3, has been on police inquiry bail. In fact, she was granted bail before Adu Boahing and his wife were granted the court bail. All three, so we have 4 suspects in this case, or 4 accused person, I must say. The 4th accused person is the company that according to the Attorney General, Eduboahin and his wife are both directors, and the wife is the sole shareholder of that particular company. According to Dr. Ayine, when they first started interrogating Eduboahin and his wife, both of them denied any links or knowledge about the company. And now it has turned out after thorough investigations that indeed Eduboahin and his wife are directors of this company, and the wife is the sole shareholder of that company, the company which they used, according to the Attorney General, to transfer and siphon monies belonging to the state and launder the money. The third accused, so that is
that.
so
as we speak tonight, is an allegation that yet to be proven in court, but at least that's the position of the Attorney General.
Of the Attorney General. So the fourth accused person or the first entity is the company. The third accused person used to be a banker. And so according to the Attorney General, she used her own expertise within the banking sector to facilitate the transfer of monies from the government coffers through to the company set up by Eduboahin and his wife to their private company, and to the benefit of Eduboahin, his wife, and then the third accused person.
And very quickly, Lateef, also today, at some point, lawyers for Eduboahin attempted to get the court to adjourn the case. How was that resolved? But also the question around flight risk. Did he still get bail?
He got the bail. So that was the position of Atacia, that the Attorney General couldn't provide any foundation, reasons why he thinks or suspects that Eduboahin is a flight risk. The Attorney General then came in forcefully and made the point that surveillance available to him clearly shows that Eduboahin is a flight risk, and he attempted to interfere with investigations. And that was the point where the judge said, okay, now I'm hearing two stories here. How to verify the story, I'm inviting you, Atacia, and the Attorney General to my office in Chambers, in camera, on Friday. That is just one day apart. On Friday, the Attorney General and Atacia are expected to meet the trial judge in camera so that further disclosures are made by the Attorney General, because he says he has surveillance that shows that Eduboahin attempted to interfere with the investigations. At that meeting with the trial judge, he is expected to make available these disclosures for the judge to make a determination whether or not to grant bail or to remand Eduboahin into prison custody.
So presumably the Attorney General today had asked that he be remanded.
Exactly.
Together with the wife.
Exactly.
Together with the wife.
Together with the wife and the third accused person. But at the point, he changed his position. He tried to be magnanimous. So he said, I don't have a problem if the wife and the third accused person are granted bail, or they still maintain their bail conditions, because as we know, the wife is on court bail, and then the third accused person is on a police inquiry bail. Dr. Ayine says he doesn't have a problem if the court maintains the current bail condition for the wife and then the third accused person. His challenge is Eduboahin, the first accused person. He suspects that the guy is a flight risk, and so the court should deny him bail. That determination is expected to be made on Friday after a meeting at 9 a.m. in camera between Atacia, Dr. Ayine, the Attorney General, and then the trial judge.
Okay, thank you very much, Lateef. And you want to catch the latest on this as it evolves. Attorney General is still speaking. We'll have more for you on Joy News Prime. It's at 7 p.m. Lateef will be there. We'll also be getting the very latest from our correspondent at that particular press conference, Kweku Asante, for you. Plus the breaking news in the last hour, the nomination of 7 justices to the Supreme Court by President John Mahama, which is attracting a fair bit of controversy. We've already had lawyers, including Martin Kpebu, say they are opposed to the move because fundamentally for him, it is going to leave the Supreme Court with more than 15 judges, and he says that he believes is going to be a breach of the convention, and so he's opposed to that. You want to stay with us here on Joy 99.7 FM. Go to our many social media platforms on myjoyonline.com for the very latest on these developing stories. Let's do some business now. And James Ishan is here with the latest.
All right, so coming up in business this evening, World Bank approves $125 million to help Ghana tackle climate-related agricultural losses, and Petroleum Hub Development Corporation collaborate with other agencies in the energy sector to streamline entry registration processes to attract more investors. Business News on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essentials, Syntex tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
M&C Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in minerals and food commodity trading, precious minerals refinery, real estate development, and logistics and energy. With individually registered companies, our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia in the USA, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value in every deal. Call us on 0302 551 917 or 0302 551 918 or send us an email mncgroup@mncgroupgh.com. MNC Group, totally reliant.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Cavity protection. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. I am James Shen. We settle for the details now, and the World Bank Board of Directors have approved an additional financing for the second phase of the West Africa Food System Resilience Program, aimed to help Ghana strengthen its capacity to address food insecurity and build resilient food systems. The following report has more.
The $125.9 million financing, funded by a combination of International Development Association credit and the grants from the Food Systems 2030 Multi-Door Trust Fund, will help replenish resources diverted to support farmers affected by floods and drought and to enhance sustainable intensification of tomato production. More specifically, the financing will support digital advisory services aimed at enhancing agricultural and food crisis management through improved access to data on weather patterns, nutrition, and food security, as well as better pest and disease monitoring. It will also invest in building the sustainability and adaptive capacity of the food system's productive base, promoting environmentally sound agricultural practices to strengthen resilience to environmental and economic disruptions. Additionally, the program will facilitate regional food market integration and trade to improve food security across borders.
And that was a news desk report. Now, the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation has announced that it is working closely with other agencies in the energy sector to streamline the registration process from 150 days to 30 for energy sector players seeking to operate in Ghana, according to the Chief Executive of the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation, Dr. Tony Oben. This will enable potential investors to navigate the system more efficiently and make informed decisions about investing in the Petroleum Hub. He spoke to Joy Business.
For this conference is to establish a one-stop shop that will handle all these permitting processes within 30 days. We want to move away from the 418 days that we saw, from the 321 days that we saw, to 30 days. If we have all the entities together, we can do that in 30 days. In some countries, if you want to register a company, you do it in a day. In a day, you have if your document, your everything is ready, in a day, you have a registered company. In Ghana, we say 5 days, we say 3 days, but sometimes it takes a long time also. So that's what we are trying to. We are trying to break the bureaucratic inertia.
Dr. Tony Oben is the Chief Executive of the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation. Next, MTN Ghana has recorded total revenue of about 5.4 billion Ghana cedis, representing 39.4% increase for the first quarter of 2025 compared to the same period last year. This was contained in the company's financial performance from January to March 2025, published by the Ghana Stock Exchange. The following report highlights the key performances.
The company posted a profit after tax of over 1.7 billion cedis for the same period. The Chief Executive Officer of MTN Ghana, Stephen Blewett, attributed the performance to strategic initiatives and investment across key business lines such as data, digital services, voice communications, and mobile money. According to the statement, service revenue increased by 39.6% to about 5.3 billion Ghana cedis compared to the same period last year.
And that was a news desk report. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. I am James Shane Evans.
James, thank you very much. There is a lot happening as far as breaking news is concerned. You want to get on to Joy News right now because Prime Minister was starting at the latest for you, and the Attorney General is still speaking, and so there's a lot more you're learning. Especially, we're also learning that he is going to file fresh charges against the former Signals Bureau boss, where, as it relates to what he alleges was siphoning of money from the state through the Ghana Water Company that was paying them monies for data services that was supposed to be paid into the official accounts, but he alleges were rather being siphoned into a private account. He says he's going to file a fresh charge against the former Signals Bureau boss. All that plus the very latest from the Supreme Court nominations on Joy News. But for now, though, there is a major sporting activity happening right now. I'm talking about the Champions League. There's a big game many of you are interested in. It's a Champions League match between Barcelona and Inter Milan, and it's live here on Joy 99.7 FM.